Director of Sports, Mr. Anthony Wilshire, the representative from the Ministry of Tourism, Mr. Shauna Jenkins, the President of the St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee, Mr. Alfonso Bridgewater, members of the St. Kitts Nevis Tennis Association, media hosts, other invited guests, good morning, and we thank you so much for coming here. The President of the St. Kitts Nevis Tennis Association, Mr. Watkins Shiverton, thank you for coming here this morning for our official media launch of the Liamuiga Oualie J5 World Tennis Junior Championships 2019. We are so glad that you could make it today. As you may be aware, this is the first time that we'll be having a tournament of this international stature here in St. Kitts. Our tournament is slated for November the 23rd to the 30th of this year, and today we will just be launching this event. I will now turn over to the President of the Tennis Association, Mr. Watkins Shiverton, for his remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I too would express sincerest thank you. And firstly, again, let me just acknowledge the PS of Sports, Mr. Tom Buchanan. I'm very happy that you could be here on your busy schedule. Director of Sports, Mr. Anthony Wilshire, very known to many of us, not necessarily by face, but even voice. Representative from the Ministry of Tourism, Shauna Jenkins, the President of the SKNOC, Mr. Alfonso Bridgewater, and again, to all of the media houses, a pleasant welcome to you all who are with us from the membership of the St. Kitts and Nevis Tennis Association, and all who are listening and tuning in electronically. Today is a very wonderful day. It's indeed a very historic opportunity for us to be here, simply because when we look at the calendar for 2019 as an association, we decided to focus our initiative this year on our nation's children as well as youth in general. And this is who we place at the forefront of our development initiatives for 2019. Indeed, we said as an association that 2019 is going to be the year of tennis for all. And an inclusive approach is what we have sought to do from day one. And every child a champion. This caught my attention even while I was traveling recently. And I thought about it and said, let me just borrow it a bit and add a few sentiments in terms of a charter for us. And we came up with the expression that every child deserves to be a champion. And this basically speaks to the responsibility that we have as adults, as mentors, to be able to take these young lives and to give them the requisite skills, the requisite tools, the opportunities, and the resources, thereby enabling them to arrive at their fullest potential. We believe this very strongly at the St. Kitts and Nevis Tennis Association, and that is why even this year we were able to launch for the first time a grassroots program called the Junior National League, where we are at the time developing young tennis players from as low as 5 to 6 years right up to 18 years, and to give them opportunity that we as adults have had over the years to be able to get themselves into the game and to realize the potential that tennis has to offer for them. We believe this simply because tennis helps you in so many ways, physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, especially given the emotional challenge that our young people faces, which increases their capacity to deal with the peer pressure situations and to get the requisite cognitive skills and to be able to unleash the talents that is within. Indeed, tennis is a sport that is based on evaluating these angles, geometry and physics to get the best results, which translates itself into better problem solving, not just on the court, but also off the court as well. Why? Simply because it's the one sport that you're not allowed to have a coach with you. And therefore, each player, whether male or female, has to be able to manage not just his or her anxiety, their fears, their emotions, while at the same time still being able to maintain the right composure in order to attain victory. When we look at what is happening on the world scale, This year, the International Tennis Federation, or the ITF, they changed things when it came to all the professional circuit as well as the junior circuit competitions and tournaments that have been held globally. And what they have done basically is to be able to create a player pathway where the juniors, those young players, have the requisite skills and opportunities to take them to the elite levels within their professional career. And we saw this recently even with the culmination of the US Open, where there were two particular young players that were very prominent in Coco, as well as the eventual winner, Bianca Bedescu. And believe it or not, Coco, 15 years old, and Bianca, 19 years old, were able to reach, you may say, at the pinnacle and showcase the talent that they have. And these players are direct products of this same tournament that we're going to be hosting. In that, Bianca has won J5s, she has won J4s, she has won J1 just last year before competing on the highest level. So her player pathway led her to not only getting the requisite skill development to be able to compete and be victorious at the junior circuit level, but also to be able to beat, what has been dubbed, and who has been dubbed, as the most prominent and successful female in Serena Williams. And these are the potentials that we are seeking to do to offer our young players here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So therefore, we had applied for last year to the ITF, and they saw that St. Kitts was missing a while from off their calendar, and they received our application in November, and as early as February 9th, we got the approval that, St. Kitts, you have now been selected to host this particular World Junior Tour event. And you could imagine our excitement, and as also when we shared the news, basically what it meant for us, not just as an association, but also as one who is a catalyst for youth development, to be able to be given such a prestigious opportunity to host such a prestigious event. The event, which is going to be held in November the 23rd to the 30th, has been named the Liamuiga Oualie World Junior J5 Tournament. And as you can see, embraces the nationality, our national identity, our indigenous identity, as not just the fertility that St. Kitts has in producing great athletes, but also the warmth that Oualie brings and the camaraderie as a nation that we as a federation is able and has been able to realize over the years when it comes to hosting sport. So the event is going to be held over the 23rd to the 30th of November, and it is a J5 event, which means it's a one-week tournament where there will be 32 players in a main draw with an additional 18, so 48 players on the male side as well as 48 players on the female side, a total of 96 players who will be descending on St. Kitts and Nevis to compete with their peers and those of similar skill levels. And they will be coming with their players, friends, they will be coming with their coaches, they will be coming with their families. So easily, St. Kitts and Nevis will have an injection of more than 200 persons who will be descending here, not just to participate, but to get the exposure, to get the experience, to get the desire that we have created in our product marketing of following your heart to this place and enjoy naturally Nevis and all that these things has to offer. Thus far, from an association perspective, we have formulated committees that have been working very hard behind the scenes to deal with issues of registration and accreditation, partnership and sponsoring, securing these to come on board with the event, venue and facility preparation, medical and physiotherapy services, media marketing and promotion, just to name a few. So there are a lot of work that is going on and continues to go on and will be going on in the next few weeks to ensure a successful event. In terms of the registration process, if I might touch on that a little bit, how does one get to participate in the event? These players, as I indicated, they're ITF certified players. and they have already acquired the requisite ITF points and ranking points, which will enable them to be able to register for the event. And some of the requisites, of course, they have to be in good standing with the ITF, as well as they have to be a member of the National Association and selected there too. Players would be registered utilizing what you call the International Player Identification Number, or IPIN, and after they have been registered, then they will be entered into the entry list for the event. What we have done thus far from an association is that we have published the fact sheet basically on the ITF website. And what this does, it gives details as to registration requirements, information as to accommodation that they would need to select for themselves and book, venue information, tournament director information as to who they are, names, contact information, as well as email addresses and so on. Transportation logistics, that is how they get to the venues, how they get from the airport to the hotel and so on, as well as information for player requirements, registration fees and such like. One of the requirements that we have to do on a national level is to have the requisite officiating mechanism in place. And the ITF spells this out, whereby you either have to have on site a tournament director who is certified, as well as a white badge official who would be the match referee, who is also certified at the very minimum, a white badge or a bronze badge official. The other obvious tiers of higher credentials for officiating, but that's necessary. In addition to that, you would have to have on-site officials, that is linesmen and chair umpires, who also are certified, and that is one of the preconditions to be able to host the tournament. So what we did this year, with the help, of course, of our friends from the SKNOC, as well as the ITF themselves, is to undertake an officiating course, so that our officials here in St. Kitts and Nevis, 18 of them to be exact, are now nationally certified ITF officials, and thereby are qualified to be able to run the tournament. In terms of the players, we have selected 8 individuals who would basically represent us as a nation within the tournament. Given the fact that they do not have any ITF points because they are obviously first-time players and participants in such an event, they would get into the tournament via a wildcard spot. So therefore, their participation will not be hindered by the prerequisite of having the points. Thus far, we have in camp Jamoy Bryant, Diquan Nisbet, Kevon Adams, Valdekel Sutton, Jaden Daniel, Sakian Green, and Xavier Merritt on the boys' side. And on the female side, we had 2, but unfortunately, one of them just recently turned 18. They were Alyssa Hull and Vanessa Hull. Both currently reside in Nevis and have been in training, even in the US, in preparation for the event. The coaches officially that have been selected and have working with the players include Ludis Francis Sadler, Andrew Abraham, and Jonah Keynes as well. And right now, as we speak, they're engaging the players in terms of their skill development, physical development, as well as their psychological development, so that they could be in preparation and a good position to represent the country well. At this point in time, I'm very, very happy to report that we've had a very good support, albeit not the expected support that we would have liked from many individuals or citizens in the corporate world, as well as our partners within the Ministry and Department of Sport, as well as the SKNOC. So to date, we have on board with us Development Bank, SCASPA, Social Security, SKNOC, Department of Sports, the Governor General, Gentons International, the factory players, Sport Zone, Ministry of Tourism, SL Stage Lighting, Cajola Cristada, American Fashion, and Athlete's Foot Off, the Polar Company. And all these are critical components, obviously, to ensuring a successful hosting of event. I would pause at this moment because, again, it's a grand opportunity for us. I am personally humbled as the president to be here leading the charge, but at the same time, very happy and very excited of the prospect that this tournament has to offer, not just for St. Kitts by way of player development and exposure for our youth, but also embracing the idea and ideologies that we have to showcase in St. Kitts. And beautifully enough to think that it falls right in and around the same time of Youth Month, which is in November. So we are seeking to even use that as a tool, as an avenue, as a culmination, or a crescendo, if you will, to have that showcase during that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your remarks and detailed information on what the tournament is and what we can expect to have. I will now turn over the mic to the representative from the Ministry of Tourism, Ms. Tishana Jenkins, for a few remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Allow me to adapt the protocol that's already been established. Good morning, one and all. My name is Tishana Jenkins. I'm representing the Ministry of Tourism and St. Kitts Tourism Authority. We just want to express our gratitude in collaborating with the Tennis Association for this endeavor. It's also an opportunity for us to expand on our mandate in regards to sports tourism, and strengthening this partnership would be the first step towards that. I also want to highlight November is the perfect time to strengthen this partnership because November is also Tourism Awareness Month. So we plan to highlight this tournament as part of our month's activities. In giving support in marketing and promoting this event as part of our activities. We're also happy to welcome the delegates and the players that will be coming into our country at this time. It's not only going to help the tennis scene, but it's going to help promote our tourism product as well. Yes, so I also want to extend apologies for our minister who couldn't be here today as he is traveling overseas on official business. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins, for your brief remarks. We will now turn over to the Department of Sports Director, Mr. Anthony Wilshaw, for his remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Lady Shiverton. Please allow me to adopt the protocol already established. Good morning to all. It is indeed a pleasure for us to be here this morning. The Department of Sports is always available to fit into the gap when we have these competitions coming on board. We'll be aware that we just had CPL. We are thinking of cricket, more cricket coming to Warner Park next month, early next month, as well as now we are talking about the tennis. Well, our duty is basically to ensure that our facilities are ready to accommodate these kind of activities. And we are very happy to partner with the local tennis association to bring this activity on board. So we have been in consultation, discussions with the tennis association, and we are intending to go full speed to ensure that all of the requirements that are needed will be put into place so that this tournament will be a success, not just from the players' standpoint, but in terms of the environment, the ambience, and all that. So we are hoping that Warner Park would have a facelift related to the tennis area. And there are challenges because we have to ensure that there are so many courts available. So we are at the point we will have to transform one of the netball courts into a tennis court. But we are working together to ensure that everything would be a success. So from the Department of Sports, we are happy to be in partnership with the Tennis Association, and will ensure that whatever we have to do to make this tennis tournament a success will be done.
Thank you for your remarks, Mr. Wilshaw, and your partnership as well. And we will now turn over to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Mr. Tom Buchanan, for his remarks. Oh, sorry, my mistake. We will now turn over to the head of the St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee, Mr. Alfonso Bridgewater first, and then we will turn over to Mr. Buchanan. So, Mr. Bridgewater, please come forward.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Permanent Secretary Buchanan, Director of Sports, the President of the St. Kitts and Nevis Lawn Tennis Association, representative of the Tourism, Ministry of Tourism and the Tourism Authority, other members of the executive of the St. Kitts and Nevis Lawn Tennis Association, members of the media, others present. Had I not been invited here this morning, I wouldn't even known that there is such a place said to be open. So clearly for people in this type of business, you got to make it much more open and inviting outside. Otherwise, I would have been not allowed this opportunity for interaction today. I must say straight off the bat, I'm impressed. I could see that it's still a work in progress, and I'm impressed with what I've seen here. And the Tennis Association has provided me with an opportunity to interact with a particular set of entrepreneurs who could do wonders for sport. So that was a blessing in disguise for me. Before talking about the tennis tournament, the Liamuiga Oualie J5 World Tournament, which is before us, I think it's necessary to put some things in perspective. Before you're in, as an individual, you see somebody whose first, what should I say, first encounter with tennis was with a youngster feeling balls for 25 cents a day, feeling very happy by the time Saturday come, I get 150. And that goes back into the 60s, 150. It was at the St. Kitts Lawn Tennis Club, one of the only two clubs available. The other club was the factory. And you didn't get into the factory just so. So there was just up Victoria Road there. And perhaps was lucky because my father was working there at the time. So tennis was very privileged. Tennis was very privileged at that time. I mean, feeling, I don't think it would have been the same thing these days. I was feeling there 6 days a week, and I can't recall ever taking up a tennis racket and hitting it over the net in that environment. It was a very privileged place, a very privileged game in which you're involved. We have moved from that privileged position, with the hard work of a number of people, to have in St. Kitts a sport which is far more popular these days. And it has become far more popular. And I'm saying this so that the organizers of this particular event could now go and approach some of these hotels, because the hotels are one of the partners in the whole thing in getting the game more popular. They didn't get courts all over the country, so the hotel courts were used. You may want to use the opportunity to tell the hotels, some of whom are looking for an opportunity to become far more corporate citizen-oriented, that here's an opportunity for them. You're not going to take up the whole court every day of the week, but here's an opportunity to broaden the opportunities for exposure to the sport. And I know a number of hotels would be willing to do that for you. So we move from a privileged position to one which was more popular, to the extent that the color of the faces of the people who are becoming champions have changed. And I recall Auckland Hector, I recall McNeish Jeffers, I recall Lionel Berridge, who had taken over from those times from people like I think his name, he used to be involved in the Little Walwell at the time. He was a champion for a long time. He used to live over on the Southeast Peninsula, Wigley, was his name. And then, even before then, Mr. George McMahon, who not only played tennis, football, and cricket. So you saw it moving down there. What I see happening today, from moving from that privileged position to one where it's popular, what I see the energetic St. Kitts and Nevis Lawn Tennis Association doing now is preparing that pathway for even more development in sports, a pathway for development. And that's the reason for the St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee. That's what SKNOC means. The St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee supporting them even before the public had an opportunity to know this thing was coming out of the ground. So we've been with the Tennis Association since the concept. That concept has been moving from just a bare concept to one which has been concretized into definite steps. And we are still with them and we'll still be with them. We have been impressed with the way the St. Kitts Nevis Lawn Tennis Association has revived itself, because it was pretty dormant for a number of years. And in this regard, the current president, Mr. Shiverton, and his team would deserve a great deal of credit for what has happened. He has transformed that particular association to the point that they had to be re-registered, so to speak, and they have never stopped working ever since. In fact, I'm so impressed with them that some of my Saturday mornings since June, whenever possible, is spent looking at the youngsters who are at the Warner Park courts being coached. And the youngsters go as low as age 6 up to age 15 and 16. I'm not only impressed with what they do, but the level of commitment which coming from at least those two coaches whose name he called earlier. In terms, clearly, they got something out of the training exercises to which they were exposed. And again, you would recognize that the St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee was very much integrated in the provision of that training opportunity for them. Because in hosting an event like this, and while this junior J5 tournament is a big one, I seem to recall in the years, it could have been in the 80s, mid-80s and so on, when we had as Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Kennedy Simmons. You know his interest in sports generally, and particularly in tennis. We saw an increase in the number of tennis courts that we had around the island. I was then working at the Department of Youth and Community Development, Sports and Culture. Well, tennis took a lift. So you had courts at the Gardens, you had courts resurfaced at Warner Park, you had courts, the factory became a little more open, and you had courts up at Newtown. Now, what the current organization will have to do, how do we get courts in the rural areas? All right? The other thing for me at that point is not to think, you have to think the event now, but if you put some money in it, these courts and these facilities quickly deteriorate into all sorts of them because you don't put in at the same place the management of it. So if tennis wants to survive, while you may be pushing the case for these extra facilities, you have to make the case as well that you want some kind of structure in terms of the management of it. And tennis is not going to be able to do it. Now you can manage you one in one apartment, manage you one in factory, manage you one all over the place. So the respective community is going to have structures where they could, and that is going to be a challenge. One of the things, while you concentrate on what's happening on the actual events, I wanted to take the time out to learn from all those persons who had stage events, whether it's cricket, football just had one, netball, whatever. There are some things that all of them did exceedingly well. Some things they didn't do too well. Have a frank talk with them to make sure that in putting on this event, you do it very well. St. Kitts has made a name for itself in terms of staging events. People love to come here, find it. One of the things which have worked for me in terms of putting on events is the hotels that you're engaging. There's sometimes you could work with them and bargain with them to have particular fares for that time of year. What you could also do with them is to say, you know what, it's from the 23rd to the 30th. What if I was supposed to ask people to come from the 16th, or ask people to stand from the 30th to the 6th? Could you give them the same rate? There are a number of people who come, and when the event is going on the 23rd to the 30th, they don't have the time to get over to Nevis to go and do a tour. So if you give them that motivation with the same rate, the hotel agreeing that, they may be able to do that. And I need to tell you what it would mean for the couples as far as tourism is concerned and the other sectors of our economy. The other thing I want to suggest to you very strongly, you're using the environment at Warner Park. Normally when people hold things at Warner Park, we have cricket, we have football, we have lawn tennis, we have netball, we have carnival. Every one of them who hold these events tend to only focus on what they do. So sometimes they hold an event and they want to use the prime spot of the other sports as their parking without giving any consideration to what parking would do to that particular part of the ground and so on. I am of the view that each individual sport that uses Warner Park have the International Federation to come in. You could do it in such a way that by the time you finish your event, every one of the collective sports could gain. So plan that, when you're planning your event, bear that in mind. So carnival may be able to gain from it, netball may be able to gain from it, even if it means getting down a few more lavatories. Even if it means you find a particular in how you organize your parking and so on. But don't plan selfishly so that by the time your sport is finished, nobody else could gain. Also, don't go through the extent of reinventing the wheel. Cricket could provide you a number of people who are volunteers. You won't have to retrain them in many instances. Netball, football, and everybody. Take the effort to work collaboratively with each other. Also use the occasion as far as your international tennis federations are. When they come present, it's not, I want to give credit again to the St. Kitts Nevis Tennis Association for drawing this event here. Those type of things don't come easily. People don't take into consideration why it takes to convince people. There are a number of other countries where this particular event could be. There's no reason why St. Kitts should have it too, and St. Kitts was somewhere in the distance, not even known at that particular point. It says something to the leadership that is, about the leadership that is in St. Kitts and Nevis Lawn Tennis Association, and I can't commend them enough to bring in this particular event here. But when they come here, show them what it means, what the particular event means to this country. You have gotten 8 people or 10 persons in the event. Usually people don't go hosting an event unless they believe they have an opportunity to make an impact on the game itself. The motivation for this for me in some extent, even though I may not expect us to get a medal, is to show parents, to show the public the level at which we are. Because some people overstate the case. You see a fellow playing 2-3 days or 2-3 years, and you want to elevate him to a pedestal where he isn't as yet. What this event would done is saying, boy, they have 14, 12, 8-year people over there, and the levels are so much apart. We have some work to do. The other part, which is important for me, and you notice the St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee has worked incessantly with the association on this. We shouldn't leave, this tournament shouldn't be over and we don't get any benefits for it. I'm talking about off the field. And you recognize the work which has already gone into being with respect to the officials. You cannot have an event, you can't have a game. The level of the competition you have, to a very large extent, is proportionately related to the level of the officiating. I'm happy that we were going to get an increased level of officials as a result of this tournament coming. Again, you have all the support from the St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee, but please advise the International Federation that the Olympic, they operate like they got a lot of money. But just because they got a lot of money, they have a way. They have, most of us had grandparents who tell us how to stretch a dollar better than TDC $1 sale. And I'm happy to see the tourism department represented here. But I'll say one thing to you. I'm assuming that those icons you have up here are basically partners. My marketing manager is going to have a real feast with me with how come the St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee icon in up there. All the very best to the rest of the planning stages. And
Mr. Bridgewater, thank you for your charges, thank you for your reprimands, and we will definitely work to correct what we can, and we thank you so much for your support. It truly has been from the start, and many persons don't know that, but the Olympic Committee has been supporting us from the conception. So we do thank you again. We will now turn over to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sports, Mr. Tom Buchanan, for his remarks.
I want to start by recognizing the Director of Sports, Mr. Wilshire, the President of the St. Kitts Nevis Tennis Association, Mr. Shiverton, the Representative of Tourism, Ms. Jenkins, and our Chairperson, Ms. Shiverton as well. I want to recognize the President of the National Olympics Committee, the media, staff of Open Interactive, and everyone else here. Thank you for coming. Now I'll apologize for the absence of the Honorable Minister, Minister Richards, who also oversees unofficial business. He couldn't be here, but I'm sure he's tuned in and he's listening, so I can't afford to misrepresent him. Yes, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture is really delighted to be a part of this tournament for many reasons. I'll outline a couple of them that are really important to me in particular, even before I came over into this ministry as Permanent Secretary. First of all, I believe in product development. I believe in new initiatives. I believe in building upon what is, and so on. And so I was happy to partner, or the ministry was happy to partner with Mr. Shiverton, the president, to help to bring back tennis to what it used to be, and to make tennis one of those major sports that we have in St. Kitts and Nevis. That brings me to one major reason why we are happy to partner with the Tennis Association, which is basically sports diversification. And when I speak of sports diversification, I'm speaking of the people who actually play and the people who just want to watch, the audience. That's important to me in particular, right? Because I see someone laughing already. Now, believe it or not, from the laughter and the smiles, I can tell people will believe. There are people out there who are not built for basketball. There are people in here who are not built for basketball. There are people who don't have the endurance for football. There are people who may not have the interest in netball or cricket or the usual sports that we play here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we have to give those people options. Even me, I need options. When Mr. Shiverton came to me first to discuss this initiative, this is something I said to him, that when I was in my better years, right, when I was better able physically to participate in sports, I didn't have these type of options. I couldn't play basketball for sure. I couldn't play football either. But if I had tennis, I would definitely play tennis. This is something I would play. It's not too late, right? But for people who are much younger and much more agile and fit and so on, they'll be given now tennis as an option to turn to if they're not as interested in basketball, netball, cricket, and so on. This is a really significant event. As I learned, the last time we had this was in 1990, right?
Yeah, the Davis Cup.
1990, exactly, the Davis Cup. That's a long time ago. It's about time we bring back these types of events to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. It's about time we bring back tennis as an option to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The ministry's been partnering with and developing football, basketball, cricket, track and field, netball, and so on. And so in the spirit of sports diversification, we've also ventured into areas such as domino, believe it or not. Just yesterday I had a meeting with the interim executive of the Domino Association, I called you, Mr. Bridgewater, for some advice, and we are now looking to make domino a major sport here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I know people love domino as well. It's not everyone who want to play contact sport, sports where you have to run or jump or do something of that nature. So domino, we're now looking into domino. Pool as well. We've been partnering with the interim or provisional pool association to develop pool as well, and there's been some pool tournaments over at the St. Kitts Nevis, Royal St. Kitts. Yesterday I had a meeting with the president of the Handball Association, and we are looking to assist the development of handball as well in different areas. And I'm happy to say, and I'm truly happy to say this, that we are also looking into bringing baseball into St. Kitts and Nevis, and I'll say more about this, and to make baseball one of those major sports as well. So that's sports diversification. Now, of course, tennis is an area, and this is why we're here. We are also trying to diversify and develop sports. I'll build on what Mr. Wilshire, the director, said before, and respond to one concern of Mr. Bridgewater with regards to tennis and the way forward. We have done some work in tennis. We resurfaced a couple of courts. In fact, we built a brand new tennis court in Sandy Point. So we are going out of the Bastia area and delivering tennis to people in different communities. We built a brand new tennis court in Sandy Point. We are now looking to resurface the court at the gardens. We already have the materials and so on. The investment was already made, so that project will be implemented shortly. We are also looking at resurfacing a court at Netball City. Mr. Wilshire mentioned that, but I want to add that it's not going to be, the court will not be permanently converted from netball to tennis, right? Mr. Eibel, the president of the Netball Association, is involved in what's going on, and we made sure that we won't do anything that would jeopardize netball or the Netball Association going forward. So he's fully aware of what's going on, and we run things by him, and if he gives us his approval, then we move forward. We're also looking to resurface a court at the factory as well. So tennis is one of those sports that we are now developing. And these are professional surfaces, by the way. In terms of the benefits of having this tournament here in St. Kitts and Nevis, of course, some benefits go without saying. Some were already mentioned, but I kind of want to mention the economic activities that will come from an event like this. We've seen it at CPL, which was just a couple of weeks ago, right? And we believe that this tournament will bring a lot of economic activities to St. Kitts. I'm very pleased to have tourism here with us, because this is all a part of sports tourism as well. It'll bring people to St. Kitts. It'll give exposure to St. Kitts. And I was in Trinidad just recently, and you'd be surprised to hear questions people ask me in Trinidad about St. Kitts. Shocking. Yeah. People in Trinidad don't know very basic things about St. Kitts and Nevis, right? So hopefully Trinidadians come as well. So I'm going to mention now, Mr. Shiverton mentioned the Youth Month and how this tennis tournament would tie in nicely with the Youth Month, which is true, and I'm happy he brought it up. And since he brought it up, I'm going to tell you a couple of things about Youth Month to advertise it and to give some exposure to it. We're going to have a month of activities. A lot of activities during the entire month of November. Some of those activities would be on the 8th of November, a first aid and CPR training On the 12th and 13th, we'll have an art exhibition right here at Open Interactive. On the 14th, we'll have the ministers, the most remarkable teen. Let me take that back a little bit. We are intending to have the most remarkable teen event on the 14th. We still have to finalize that date, but as of now, we have it tentatively for the 14th of November. On the 20th of November, we would like to have, we still have to pin down this date as well, but we'd like to have a youth luncheon with the Minister Richards, at OTI. On the 22nd, we have planned a business expo. The 26th, a high school chef competition. And on the 28th, we expect to have a high school choir festival. In addition to that, one more exciting activity I want to bring to everyone's attention. I mentioned a while ago, baseball and bringing baseball to the Federation. We are also partnering, the ministry is also partnering with the Major League Baseball Player Alumni Association out in the US to bring baseball clinics to the Federation. So we'll be hosting the Legends for Youth Baseball Clinic. The first session will be in St. Kitts on the 26th of October, and the second session will be in Nevis on the 27th of October as well. The baseball team is expected to arrive in St. Kitts on the 24th of October at 3 p.m. We'll be inviting the press to be there to welcome these folks to St. Kitts and Nevis and to launch this important initiative. To give you a little bit more information on the baseball clinic, so we'll have, it's a charitable program. It's been in existence for they've delivered 183 events each year worldwide, and so now St. Kitts is one of those countries that these folks will be visiting. And the idea is to promote baseball to young people using positive sports images and personalities. So the clinic will be facilitated by the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association, and the goal is to expose participants to coaching from major league players and coaches to raise awareness of baseball in St. Kitts and Nevis. So these will be pro baseball players. Some of the pro players that you'll be seeing when they arrive will be Mr. Mackenzie Mills, Mr. Benny Castillo, and Mr. Arturo Keynes. So I just wanted to put that in there in terms of what the ministry is doing to diversify sports in the Federation. One more thing I'll mention as we talk about tennis at Warner Park and so on. This will also give the Warner Park facility more usage, right? That's something that I'm looking into personally. So we are trying to bring as much cricket as possible, as much football as possible, and now we are adding tennis as well to the usage of the Warner Park facility. I'll close by saying that, again, that we are happy to be partners in this initiative. Mr. Shiverton is a good person, a good president to partner with. He's very relentless, to put it nicely. Yes, he's very driven, and with someone like him, at the helm of the Tennis Association, we could only expect a great tournament, a high-quality tournament. So again, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan, for your remarks. We will now open the floor to the media houses. We will limit the media houses to 2 questions per house that they can ask the board members here today regarding the tournament. Yes.
LaShawn Dixon, Second Series Observer. 2 quick questions. What was the criteria by which the local players were selected? and also to the Ministry of Sports, if the Tennis Association could continue bringing tournaments like this to St. Kitts and Nevis, could we see an upgrade of the tennis facilities of Warner Park to support such competitions in the years to come?
Thank you very much for your question. I'll touch on the first one. Essentially, these players have been engaged in various competitions over the last few years. So those players who have been selected are those who have either won or been runner-ups in their respective categories and have exhibited the skill level and performance levels which would qualify them to be able to participate. In light of the two females that are from Nevis, they themselves have also been involved in training within the United States and performing at exceptional levels. So we decided to give them an opportunity to be a part of it. One of the things I didn't really get to mention, so I could share this information for you, is that we had to publish a fact sheet, which I said before, so that globally individuals can now have the pertinent details regarding the tournaments hosting here. I'm happy to report that thus far we have had 14 persons. The moment the fact sheet that was published, 14 persons who have already signed up, and these include 3 females from Austria, United States, and Egypt, as well as 14 boys, including countries China, Barbados, Canada, United States, Italy, Ghana, Mexico, Slovakia, and Great Britain. And that was registration signed up as at the 22nd of September. The Georgia Tour folks gave us the link today so that we can see the registration as they occur. So I can anticipate that by the time we go back, this number is going to increase and continue to increase right up to the registration deadline, which is the 23rd of October. So again, global in nature truly is what we are seeing, where you're going to have a global presence here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And again, as the PS and others have indicated, they are seeing St. Kitts. I could tell you they're Googling, trying to find out where is this place. And obviously, our wonderful folks at the tourism department have put beautiful pictures up there. And you could get a sense now Austria, these are places that we hear about and see beauty, but they are now coming just to get an experience and a taste for themselves of what we have to offer.
In terms of the upgrades at Warner Park and what we intend to do to continue to develop tennis going forward, 2 things. We submitted for the 2020 budgets, we submitted a capital project to upgrade Warner Park, to do general upgrades of Warner Park. Once that is passed and we receive those funds in the upcoming year, then you could expect some upgrades to the general facility. Secondly, we are looking at, and we are still looking at this, we are looking at a multi-purpose sports facility as well, the construction of a brand new indoor multi-purpose sports facility. We will be able to play tennis and other sports in the inside of a building, and in this nice 4-floor, as it is right now based on designs, 4-floor well designed, I can't even, it's a magnificent building so far, but we are kind of still making sure that it's what is going to be best for the country, and we're looking at funding as well. But there's always upgrades at Warner Park. The upgrades are always ongoing. Aside from Warner Park, I mentioned before that we are also doing some building tennis courts and renovating, resurfacing tennis courts across the island in general. So it won't just be a focus on Warner Park. There'll also be tennis courts across the island. that's it. If you want to add something, Mr. Bush.
To Buchanan, is this indoor facility that's being proposed the same one as the multi-purpose one that's being proposed for Carnival?
Yes, it's supposed to be a multi-purpose facility for performing arts as well as sports. It'll be designed where you can move seating and those type of things, and create more space, or just it's sort of like a modular design, and put it together for whatever sport is going to be played, or whatever sport is going to be used for, or if it's going to be used for performing arts and so on.
At the same location?
Same location, yes.
Okay, so the tourism official, just to get an impact from you with regards, if you could go a little bit deeper in terms of a tournament of this nature is coming, what do you foresee this sort of impact? I mean, it might be now for 1 week in 2019, but the lasting impact something like this would have on the tourism sector in St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as if you can just go a little bit deeper in terms of sports tourism, and how is the tourism authority as well as the Ministry of Tourism working along with the Ministry of Sports in the area of sports tourism?
Thank you for your question. We foresee this event to be good to boost the tourism product, as to this tournament is an international tournament, so it's going to put St. Kitts more on the world map. As to Mr. Chiverton mentioned, countries such as Austria, Ghana is now Googling St. Kitts, now going to find out where St. Kitts is, because we're a small dot on the map. So we use this tournament as an opportunity for us to market St. Kitts more on a larger scale. We're looking forward, and we thank our partnership with the department and the Ministry of Sports in regards to boosting sports tourism. As we can see in regards to CPL that just concluded, the influx of people that came in during that period was good for our tourism stakeholders, such as taxi operators, food and beverage, hotels. So we are looking at this tournament not only just for this period, but for time period to come and years to come, that our stakeholders could greatly benefit from this endeavor.
Thank you. Is there another media host I would like to ask any questions? No? All right. So we'll move to the final segment of this launch. Now, we threw out a competition to the locals of St. Kitts and Nevis because we wanted to involve them in this tournament of this nature. So we threw a competition to create a logo, the official logo, and we can see it here on the screen on my right. And that was designed by our very own Mr. Nevada Blanchard, and we want to present him with his reward today. It is a sponsorship of $500 EC, sponsored by Mr. Mario Wigley, the Public Relations Officer of the St. Kitts Nevis Tennis Association, who could not make it here today, but we thank him so much, and we'd like to invite Mr. Blanchard. Can we give him a round of applause, please? Just face the camera. Mr. Blanchard, we thank you so much for the work that you've done, and we hope that in the future more locals will take the opportunity to do what you did. Thank you. Round of applause. Okay, everyone, again, just have the...
Just say one more thing, because this is a critical component, and I forgot to mention it, is that we literally, as I indicated to you, the wheels are moving, and one of the areas that we want to toss out again to our public is in the area of vending, okay? we are seeking to have at least 4 vendor booths that are erected at the Carnival City grounds, and their task would be to provide food, various sorts, of course, to the players. The ITF in particular has already given us the requirements for the players. And it's a professional tournament which will be guided by anti-doping rules as well as standards in relation to nutrition and things like that, so that the players who are coming in won't be put at risk. So it means then that the fooding and the preparation of it must be of a professional standard and in keeping with healthy stuff, right? So therefore, we take this opportunity as well to invite persons who normally provide those booths, whether it's at CPL or those other events, to apply. And we're going to put you through a little filtering process and ensure that the standards are in keeping with those that have been outlined and the requirements for the ITF. So we invite you to apply. You can go to our website, that's tennisskn.org, or on our Facebook page as well, and we will have the application forms there for you to download, and then you send it back to our committee who will be dealing with that, and they would contact you as to your success of application, as well as explaining again, giving you clear guidelines of what is necessary. So I take this opportunity to toss this out to you, the general public, and to those very skilled cooks and various persons who do catering to apply, so that you too can be a part of the event.
Thank you, Mr. President. In closing, I want to invite the public to assist in any way we can. We need volunteers, we need funds, we need sponsors, we need partners. So we invite you to be a part of the action. The association cannot do it without you. To our partners who have already come on board to assist, we thank you again. And to those who came here today for the official launch, we thank you for coming, taking time out of your schedule. Please also check the website, as was mentioned, tennisskn.org, for more information. Also on Facebook, the St. Kitts Nevis Tennis Association is on Facebook, and the event itself has its own page. The Liamuiga Oualie World Junior J5 Tennis Championship is on Facebook, so you can look that up for more information. Thank you again, and do have a wonderful day.